Welcome back to the eSports Report, guys. Talking about UGC Niagara. It kicks off in exactly 37 minutes. I have Benson and Kingdom Soldier here. It's Benson's birthday. Get on Twitter, at Benson_EU. Unfollow him and then send him a happy birthday message. Send your follow to Kingdom Soldier.
Really?
Even at the Optic House, the juice is flowing. You're fine. Oh, all right. Well, guys, thank you for joining the show. We're into round number 2, and there's been a lot of confusion on Twitter. Yes, FaZe Black does have to play through the amateur bracket. However, 4 teams from AM will be making it into the 16-team championship bracket, as well as 8 teams on the loser side. But I've taken some shortcuts today. I've just automatically moved them into the spot that they would be if all the top AM seeds go perfect. They would play TK in round 1. And we said that TK would win that because Mad Cat is the strongest British man alive. All right, we're going into round number 2, guys. Complexity. They will start their tournament on Saturday. And they will face off against Strictly Business in round number 1. Last time they ran up against a team coming from 8-9, well, it's been a while, but Strictly Business, any chance of taking down Cole here in our first match? Let's keep it fast as we're running out of time.
No.
0.
No.
3 O's?
Yes.
Both 3 O's. All right, let's go to the next one. FaZe Red Envy. We can get in a little bit deeper here, guys. Let's pull up our FaZe Red and Envy cards. Theory being added to this FaZe Red lineup. Last time they were at a UMG. Here in round number 2, they almost pulled off the miracle. Envious looking so strong at Call of Duty Championships, finishing 3rd after Nameless had the tournament of his life. Study showed off his S&D skill. Now they add this Slayer Parasite to the crew. Man, if you look at these two teams stats-wise, I think Envy's got them beat in almost every facet. Let's see here. 15-13 to 17-04. Actually, Blitz caps belong, Dom caps belong to FaZe Red. Blitz caps also belong to FaZe Red. SND, it's 1.17 KD to 0.96. So arguably, FaZe Red better at the objective game modes for the respawn. Envy better in SND. How's this one go, Benson?
I think as soon as you get Envious online and on that main stage, going up against FaZe Red, they're going to make real small work of FaZe Red. No disrespect to them, but you think about the mental aspect going into this game or going into the whole tournament. You got Envious, who all had solid events. Obviously, Parasite wasn't on the team back then, but then you look at FaZe Red, and Theory had a very poor COD champs. And don't get me wrong, I know these guys are pros, but that's something which I think is going to sneak into your mind no matter what. You're going to be sat there thinking, all right, I'm new on this team. I need to play well. Didn't have the best COD champs. This is a really, really important must-win for Theory in my mind. Just this game alone, if this is how the bracket ends up, I think he really needs to play very well against some of the best teams in North America to kind of prove himself again. And Kingdom touched on it as well. Is he missing TK? TK definitely missing him. But for me, Envy is going to take this very, very easily.
So 3-0?
I would say yeah.
Okay, Kingdom. You're on the hot seat, my friend. Who moves on?
It's going to be 3-2 Envy. The only challenge in this tournament is going to be the Rambo factor. And you just stated the statistics is that Rambo is missing, and it shows in Blitz and Domination. And I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to hear about it on Twitter, but statistically, Rambo played better than Study at Champs. I think in Search and Destroy, he didn't, but he had the bomb most of the time. And so, or he had it more than Study did. But in both of the other 2 game types, Rambo had most caps. He had higher KDs, I think, in both of them. And so he played better than Study, but they decided to drop Rambo. And a lot of people saying Rambo can't shoot, all this kind of stuff. Now, Study may play worse because Rambo was on the team and the way they played off of each other didn't work. Study's leading the league right now in Search and Destroy. And like I said earlier, FaZe has taken a tank in their search ability. And I think that's with the addition of Theory and removing Proofy. So this goes all the way to the last round, and Search and Destroy wins championships, and it's going to win this match. And Envy is going to end up taking it.
Last round. You going round 11 S&D?
Yeah, we'll go round 11.
I like that call. That is the best call of the day. I'm going round of 11 with you. And actually, I had FaZe Red moving on. Then I remembered FaZe Red plays Friday night. Envy doesn't play until Saturday morning because they're a top 4 seed. That means Envy gets to warm up with a round 1 match on Saturday morning. FaZe Red comes in cold. Because of that, I think Envy's able to take the Dom game number 1 that they normally would have lost. They're going to lose the Blitz game because FaZe Red is just too strong in Blitz. If it goes to game 5, Parasite and Study take over in S&D as Classic and Theory struggle. I think we're going to see Envy move on here, but this was the toughest pick I had out of any of the matches in the bracket, and it totally changes things up in the lower bracket, which hopefully we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. Let's keep the show moving, though, guys, as our next matchup, Team Caliber versus Optic Gaming. TK playing with Mad Cat, the biggest Slayer in Europe, now going up against a team consisting of 3 of the nastiest Slayers, Clayster, Proofy, Scumpy, all on one lineup here for Optic Gaming. TK missing one of their objective players, Apathy. How does this one pan out, Benson? You watch these guys live.
Yeah, I think TK definitely going to struggle. That's for sure. I mean, I just don't think when you look at the TK lineup, there's anyone that can compete slaying with Optic right now. And that's how this game is going. Whether you like it or not, the team that slays the most tends to get the wins. I haven't seen a case of the opposite for quite a while. So, I mean, we saw FaZe back at COD Champs. They were trying to just play objective based, and that's something which right now the meta game doesn't support. You need to be able to get those kills. You always have, but it just seems like now it's more important. And this is one of those games as well where I think the Mad Cat communication is going to come in. You're playing one of the best teams in North America. Your communication needs to be spot on. Communication arguably wins games as well. Having a European who is pretty difficult to understand, no disrespect to Mad Cat, it's true, though. It's true. Even Europeans sometimes struggle to understand him. I just can't see TK coming through. I think it's going to be close. I'd say 3-1 Optic Gaming there.
3-1 Optic. Okay, so TK at least gets a map playing with the pickup Kingdom. Do you give him that map? Do you give him the match?
3-1 Optic. They're just better. I mean, that's enough said. They're just a better team, and they're going to win.
Better team 3-1. Okay, I'm going with the 3-0 Optic Gaming Greenwall. Go ahead, praise me on Twitter. Curse Orange versus Optic Nation is our next matchup. And Optic Nation, they're going to have a round 1 against an amateur team. They get a little warm-up match. Curse Orange has their Friday night matchup for round 1. Who goes through in this one? Benson, I know you love this Curse Orange squad, but can they compete with Optic Nation? We haven't seen too much of them just in the 2Ks, 5Ks.
No, they can't. The COD smarts that Nation possess is just mind-blowing. I mean, Killer and Miracles, they're back to feeling pretty comfortable. The one thing I would say, though, is if you're an Optic Gaming fan, or, I guess, or an Optic Nation fan, if you're just a fan of Optic, you need to be careful because that team could be prone to arguments this weekend, and that's something which kind of snuck through a little bit at the Optic line. I was kind of seeing a little bit, but then on the last day, they kind of got their heads back into the game. They were like, hey, we don't necessarily need the pro points, but I want to bring home a championship. And that was the mindset that Nation had, because they're so far ahead on pro points that for them not to qualify for X Games, we'd have to see some. I'm pretty sure it's mathematically impossible at this point. Yeah. So they have no worries whatsoever. They're going to win a championship. Miracles and Killer miss being champions. They said it themselves. Curse Orange, I think they are really going to struggle. It's a different kind of team, though, that they're going to be playing against because they're going to be trying to prepare to play against Slayers. This Optic Nation team bend the method. They're very objective heavy. You know, Killer, Miracles, Ricky, and Embos. You've got 3 pretty heavily objective-based players in that lineup. Ricky's going to be alone trying to slay, kind of how the metagame used to be. But even so, with all that said, Nation should go through probably 3-1, 3-2.
3-1, 3-2. All right. So, Optic Nation goes through. That sets up an Optic match in round number 3, Complexity. They're going to face off against Envy again. And Envy finished second at COD Champs to Complexity. It was a 3-0 blowout in that grand finals. It never even looked close, in my opinion, guys. I don't know if you agree with that. But this time, now after adding Parasite to the lineup, let's take a look at how these two teams stack up against each other when it comes to the stats. Complexity, number 1 in the COD League. They have a 77% overall match win record. Then when you look at the individual game modes, maps, they're 62%, 31 map wins to just 19 map losses. 55% of those wins come from domination, or 55% win percentage in domination. Blitz, 69, almost 70%, and 65 in S&D. Overall, you see their S&D plants, the highest of any team at 3.53. And for Envy's side, Their stats not bad at all either. They have a 70% win record, having 7-match wins, 3-match losses. 79% in S&D, only 50 in Blitz, and only 44 in Domination. So by the numbers alone, Kingdom, is it safe to say Complexity's moving through here?
Yeah. They every player on their team at COD Champs had a 1.1 KD or higher in every single game type except for TP in Search and Destroy because he had the bomb most often. This team is ridiculous. They didn't lose a single match. They didn't lose a single domination the last time they were on LAN. They went 11-0 at COD Champs in domination. They're just unstoppable. They're good online. They're great on LAN. They're a better team than they are online, hands down, and nobody can compete with them. And so even though Envy is good and they're better with Parasite, they're not better than Complexity with Parasite.
Benson, Envy's been grinding. They've been practicing. Complexity, arguably not putting in their most effort into preparing for this UGC Niagara event. Also, it's not on Xbox One. They've gone back to the Xbox 360 for this event. Do those things affect Cole at all? Are they still able to get the win, or do you see the upset coming out here this time in the winter semi?
It's an interesting question because Envy now have two players who have beaten Complexity online, and that's Nameless and Parasite, and they were teammates when they did it. Is that going to play a factor? It could do, because it's very, very rare that you can say that. With the winning streak Complexity have been on, they've lost at 2 major events. That's it. And to have 2 of 8 players on a team that have beaten them before, the big question for me is, has Parasite, has Nameless sat down with his teammates and said, all right, this is how we did it the first time, this is how we need to do it now? Part of me thinks they won't have done that, and that's why I have Complexity just rolling through Team Envious again.
Again, Benson's calling it. So, guys, we're running out of time, but we need to take a quick break to get the graphics ready for our next matchup. We'll talk about Optic Gaming versus Optic Nation. This is a matchup a lot of people hope to see in the grand finals. It could happen even earlier in winners round 3. Both Kingdom and Ben calling Complexity to move past Envy. I think this is where Complexity struggles. I never root against Cole. I never bet against Cole. For some reason, I think if Envy gets here instead of FaZe Red, I think Envy's able to get the win over Cole. You heard me calling it. We're going to commercial break. When we come back, we'll top Optic. That team with all the fans that are on my Twitter all the time, correcting me all the time. We'll be right back.